What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Cinefanatics. My name is Chris Adams, and as always, for these Bad Batch breakdowns, I am joined by fan favorite Adam Witt.
Hey, it's me, fan favorite Adam Witt. Thank you for all being fans. I've needed that for many years in my life. It took me 48 years to become a favorite of anybody, but I appreciate it, and thank you.
You're the favorite in the hearts of millions, those who know you and those who don't yet.
Those who can't do bits.
Well, I'm working on a few here and there. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Bad Batch breakdown. We have got episode number 6. I believe this is Decommissioned. So, interesting title for these. Yeah.
Yes. Does that have a multiple meanings, that title? I know, obviously. Well, let's recap what happens in this episode first, and then we'll kind of get into some of the in-depth. And it's not hard to summarize this episode.
Yeah.
The little Bosk. And who is the little Bosk again? That sounds like Rhea Perlman from Cheers. Who's that voice?
Kinda, yeah. I believe her name is Sid.
Sid, the little Bosk
from Toy Story. You know, plays with the toys.
Sid.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Tiny Bosk. Little We got Baby Yoda. We got Baby Rancor last week. We got Baby Bosks.
Squatty Bosk.
Squatty Bosk. So yeah, she sends him on another mission. Now, last week it was a sort of one-to-one thing. If you want this, then you go do this. And I forget what that information that she was holding over their head was. Is she still holding that over their head?
I think.
What was it they wanted last week that she's like, well, I can give you this, but you got to go do this.
Well, I think what it ended up being, okay, so like last week, obviously they went to go get the that Rancor, but I believe this. What that ended up with was that she knows that there's a bounty hunter after them, so she's like, okay, well, something special about you if there's a bounty hunter after you, so don't worry, I'll keep the secret.
Right.
Working
that's
for
what
me.
She's got over there. Right.
So that's gonna not end up well for her at some point, I'm sure. But
no, I kind of like it as a relationship, though, because we are now into dirty Star Wars. We're down into, grifty Star Wars.
Yeah.
That everything is broken down from the prequels. Now we're into. Oh, it's helicopter time in Mid City. Hold on, let's close the window here. Helicopter o'clock. So they have now. We're into dirty Star Wars. We're into bribey, grimy Star Wars, and so I like that they have this relationship. It's like, this is how things are done. You ain't got no empire anymore. What are you going to do for information, for money, for protection? You got to grease some palms, and we're in gritty Star Wars territories. I like that. I like that they get assigned missions. I mean, they're a special missions force.
Yeah, it's the politics of the street. You got to trade off something in order to make stuff happen.
Right.
Which, by the way, guys, speaking of that, the trade-off for continuing us and having this show here is that you send something into Streamlabs. We really would appreciate that. So if you want to pop something in that Streamlabs, a question, a comment, anything while we're doing the show, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, throw some cheapskates. We're in the dark universe of Star Wars. We're in the dark universe of the internet here. Just send a buck. Send a buck. Let us know that you love us. I mean, come on. It brings on a top-tier talent like myself to come on and do bits and flash my personality that I've perfectly honed by getting C's in high school for years. Because I was studying Star Wars instead. That's what's funny.
That's it exactly. Yeah. Nailed it.
So they got to go get I got some notes here. They have to get a tactical droid.
Yep.
Which we've seen lots of tactical droids before. I don't remember the names of any of these, but there were some significant plot lines with these type of droids with the little square eyes or whatever, that a little weird animated mouth, and kind of like a battle droid body, and then. But anyway, what the thing is, to win, you need intel now because everybody's underground, everybody's fighting on their own side. There used to be these giant alliances, which was shocking when people saw the Phantom Menace. They're like, this isn't the Star Wars I know, but now. We see this slow crossfade to the Star Wars you do know, and you see what, in order for that to happen, there's this giant breakdown in the system. So now something like a tactical droid knows how to defeat the clones, and that's why they need tactical droid brains, basically, is to get the old intel, which is being melted down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're going off and finding the tactical droid. I mean, we're talking about a type of droid that back during the Clone Wars was droids that were trusted with leading, the entire droid armies in various places. So, I mean, yeah, these things know a whole lot in terms of intel, in terms of, combat and everything, and probably even know a whole lot about, the clones themselves, because of how they fought them. So, any number of intel that somebody could want, you could find in these droids' heads.
Right, and that's a line that they said too, is these things are AI, so the more they fought clones, the more they learned, and now they're just sitting in some trash heap. They're not worth anything they're just scrap for the Empire, but for the people who are fighting on the streets and need to fight for their lives, it's like they've got years, decades of intel from having fought clones, so that's more valuable than gold, which is really fun too, to have something that's so in universe that's of value, rather than like, Republic credits. Oh, it's worth all these Republic credits. I couldn't buy into that as a thing of like, oh, go get this gold thing or go get this crystal. But like, oh, the thing that could, allow you to beat that next battle, that's what's now valuable. Information is valuable. So it's
a universal truth. Information is always very valuable.
And what planet do they go to? This is a fun reappearance.
Yes. Corellia. Yeah.
Did Corellia ever show up in the Clone Wars?
I don't remember it. I don't remember seeing it until Solo.
Yeah, that's some amazing restraint. We've heard about Corellia since literally the first time we heard of Khan Solo. Mm-hmm. But no, he does say in A New Hope, he says, I'm talking about the big Corellian ships. Again, all these references dropped in. You're like, just like Clone Wars, like you fought in the Clone Wars, and then that information is dropped. We move on. Same thing. It's like, it's a Corellian ship. Like, what's that? And then you find out on the back of the trading card that Han Solo's from Corellia, and you're like, what's Corellia?
Yeah.
So that's an amazing amount of restraint. For as much as people say that they've wrung this Star Wars sponge over dry, I'm like,
not yet.
We've literally only seen Corellia twice. So
yeah,
that's pretty fun.
Not even close yet. I mean, you're talking about a universe that can be constantly expanding and creating new planets and new locations. We're not wringing this thing dry anytime in our lifetimes, honestly.
And I mean, as exciting as it was to like go back to Tatooine in Phantom Menace, you're like, oh my God, it's Tatooine. Here we are. Now we get that same feeling from Solo, because I'm like, as soon as they say you're going to Corellia, I'm like, oh boy. And as soon as they start landing, you're like, those are the streets. That's where Han Solo grew up. That's where he was in the speeder chase, and then he's all these. It was really cool to see Corellia again. It was like a homecoming. I'm like, just like seeing Tatooine again in the Phantom Menace. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a fun thing to revisit that location and then have it be a location that kind of pushes a little bit of story along too. Because, we're looking at the Bad Batch obviously coming in to do this job. And in order to do that, they have to go to this droid dismantling, essentially, facility that's destroying all the battle droids and everything from the old Separatists and the old Clone Wars and all that they're just now through.
Isn't that a great symbol also? Because we obviously realize there's been this changeover, that the old ways are gone. But to watch piles of these droids, the Snoopy droids, the battle droids, the B2 battle droids, to watch piles of them being melted down. Like the Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, all those things you knew, it is now literally going away. We no longer need any of these droids that you watch fight all those battles. That's a pretty cool symbol. That was kind of fun. I mean, as bite-sized and easy as these episodes are, the thickness of something like that is pretty cool. Like the grandness of just a pile of these droids that we watched fight for the entire Clone Wars TV show are now being melted down. They're worthless. They're just scrap. They're going to be turned into Star Destroyers for Tarkin to examine,
Pretty much, yeah. It is really a cool thing. Like you said, these being bite-sized, digestible episodes, and they still packing so much like lore of stuff that came from before or stuff that we see that, comes later on in the series and everything. It's, again, like, I cannot sing the praises of Dave Filoni enough and how he just absolutely loves Star Wars, and you see that in every inch of everything that he's producing content-wise.
it is deceptively simple. This episode's a perfect example. It's deceptively simple, but it is packed with lore, packed with this moment that we're in. I mean, it even makes when okay. And so then, by the way, I just want to shout out to Vernon Greene, who's in the chat here, because he's correct. Leah's ship was the Corellian corvette, and that's the Tantive 4 that you see at the very beginning of I guess this is their perspective here at the very beginning of Star Wars, the most radical shot in cinema, one of the most radical shots in cinema history, which was a Corellian corvette, and again, that was on, like, at the time you'd get trading cards, and that was written on the back of it, and you're like, what in the hell is a Corellian corvette? I just, that's the depth of this sort of thing. But
we're talking about we're talking about like George Lucas creating these names too out of nowhere, and like, what was his thought process in each and every name he created that now spins off into here we are years later and we're revisiting a planet, and there's a whole story around it. Yeah, it's just, oh man, so much.
Well, and with that thickness comes, again, I'm going to probably hit this on the head every week because Dave Filoni knows it and he gets it in each episode, is the welcomeness. As much as, like, in The Phantom Menace, you're like, oh, R2-D2, I remember R2-D2. But when it comes back to, like, The Force Awakens, you're like, oh, the sound of the Millennium Falcon. That's a character. Every time that Tech puts, the little screwdriver thing that R2-D2, used to flip out and stick in a thing, the little data reader thing, the sound that makes, the sound that there are police droids, which is a brand new droid. We've never seen police droids before. I kind of like the patrol bikers in the Solo movie that look like speeder bike troops. So I kind of wish these were that, but this might predate Solo. I mean, how old is Han Solo at this point? Is he on Corellia? Is he born yet? I'm not sure.
Definitely born, because I mean, we're thinking like how many years are between Solo and A New Hope. I mean, it's enough that maybe we get a Solo sequel, but probably 10 years maybe at most. So we're thinking here it's like another 7-ish years, because we're talking about the beginning of the Empire.
Okay, so maybe the reason we have patrol troops is because patrol droids, is that what they were called? Police droids. Yeah. Is because we have yet to the Empire has yet to refine their policing and get to the speeder. So we're just not there yet. But these were cool droids, and they made a sound that was very familiar. And I ask your audience to jog my mind. I feel, because they were like, they have some kind of like weird thing, and they sound a little bit like the fake C-3PO that C-3PO runs into on Bespin, was all I could put, which I think is E-3PO. I think I'm right. Star Wars competitor right here. I can't win, but E-3PO. There you go. But that sound is familiar. When the ship unlatches from the bottom of it, like, all these sound effects are so familiar. I love it. And of course, when the battle droids, we'll get to that, because once they find the head of a tactical droid, they're not the only ones that want it.
Yeah. What I'm interested in seeing, and maybe I shouldn't be interested in seeing this, but just kind of as someone who likes to see some stuff behind the scenes every now and then, I would love to see the computer that has all the files of all the sound effects that they go back to. And it's like, how do they have these things sorted to be able to jump back into and edit? And like, oh, we got to pull the sound effect from here. This is from this movie. Let's dump it right here.
And they're all Ben Burtt's sound effects. I mean, Ben Burtt's not working on these TV shows, but he might as well be. I mean, everything has a Ben Burt sound effect. It's amazing, the library that guy created from scratch. I mean, even all the blasters, and I mean, at one point, of course, there's a blaster fight, but then they stun someone, and that sound of the stun, from which we know from the very beginning of A New Hope, when Princess Leia gets stunned, is a whole different sound effect. The stormtrooper sound effect, the droid sound effect, the voices, all that stuff. Pretty impressive.
And so we're in the middle of this droid dismantling factory, obviously, and they're looking for that tactical droid's head. Yeah. And then they run into 2 other individuals. I don't think I'm skipping over anything here, but
no, I don't think so. It's a very simple episode.
Yeah. It was very straightforward, which was great.
Rafa and Trace is what I wrote down. Is that their names? I think Rafa
I
and
believe it is
Trace.
the Martezes, Rafa and Trace, who we actually recently just met in an arc at the end in the last season of Clone Wars.
Oh, we
So
did.
yeah, so we
Okay.
we know them from there was like a 4 episode arc, I believe, where Ahsoka was reintroduced to the Clone Wars series for that last season, and that is the whole arc with them. So they're aware of Ahsoka and all of that at this
Oh,
point.
okay.
So we're seeing them like pick up right after the Clone Wars is over now with this episode. So that was kind of like, oh hey, familiar faces we just saw.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I may not have seen those episodes. I feel like I watched the last season that the Bad Batch was in some of the last season.
Yeah,
But maybe I don't remember Ahsoka in the last season. Maybe I didn't see
think
those episodes.
I think we had that. I think it was the Bad Batch arc was at the very beginning of
Very
the
beginning,
last
and then
season
there
of
was
Clone Wars, and
second
then it
arc
was
and third arc, I think.
yeah, and then it was the arc with the Martezes, and then that's when Bo-Katan came in and said, "Ahsoka, we need your help," and then that leads to the very last arc of the series. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. So these two are from, well, what I gathered just from this episode is they're part of the rebellion, because they're like, we need this information. They basically allude to that there's some sort of rebellion.
it remains to be seen. Obviously, it sounds like they're kind of in some degree working in that direction, but we know them essentially as smugglers. They are from the lower sides of Coruscant, so they're also from that same thing that we've been talking about, the kind of grimy, dirty side of Star Wars, where you have to do some shady stuff in order to progress in life, pretty much. So
Yeah.
so they could say like, hey, we're working for the rebellion or whatever. Who knows? I mean, are they
I
working
mean, it's
for
probably not the
beginnings
rebellion proper yet, but yeah.
Right. Are they working for like what was it? What we see is going to eventually be the group that Enfys Nest leads. I mean, that's a possibility. Anything's
Absolutely
possible.
possible.
But
And they take off well, sorry, let me not skip ahead here. Obviously, then there's this enormous, and might I say, gorgeous battle. I mean, there is running and swinging. There is peril on the the thing that's like, what do you call it? Conveyor belt peril. Omega gets caught under a droid on a conveyor belt. She's headed towards getting melted down herself. And there's all these different levels. There's police droids and just battles and lasers and swinging and grappling hooks. And I mean, it's the full, you push that level up to 11 of Star Wars. It's Star Wars to 11 for about 5 good minutes of this little movie here.
it's almost like you take Attack of the Clones in the Geonosian factory, and then you paint it with like an Indiana Jones kind of vibe with what they have to do there. So yeah, it's a very like were you catching some of those like Attack of the Clones vibes there? I mean,
oh yeah, because Padme and Anakin on the conveyor belts in the on Geonosis. Oh, absolutely. That's totally the vibe I got the entire time. And what a beautiful sequence too. I mean, all the lighting. I mean, God, the technology, the artistry they can get out of computer technology. Now, when you think back to the first season or second season, even the third season, fourth season of Clone Wars, what we're looking at right now is an absolute Rembrandt compared to that. I mean, the depth of like the architecture, because also like Dave Filoni's now been doing this for 8 seasons or 12 years or however long it is. And he's really good at getting the most out of this. The fact that there's a melting pit, which provides this yellow light, and everybody's got this yellow light, but then there's all this smoke and atmosphere. And then there's just like levels of troops. And then, Wrecker gets knocked out at one point and he's up there. And then, and then the other people are on catwalks, but then Omega's down there. All these levels, this is exactly what George Lucas has done from the very beginning, but more so in the prequels in creating peril and Saturday afternoon serial. How are you going to get out of this one? You could just see this episode being cut in half like an old Batman episode of like, how are they going to get out of this one? And then next week Wrecker wakes up and saves this and does that, and then they swing to safety.
Exactly.
It's real good serial adventure stuff. I mean, as simple as these episodes are, like they are a straight shot of Star Wars heroine, in a tight 24 minutes plus credits.
That Star Wars right into my veins.
Yeah.
So you bring up Wrecker here, and that's actually something I wanted to mention briefly, is that, we haven't been talking about this, but they've been carrying on this like little thread of Wrecker going, oh, I've got a headache. My head is killing me. And, since the first episode of this Bad Batch, we've seen, Crosshair was the one who had the chip in his head that just kind of fully took effect. But, since then we've seen Wrecker kind of go, oh, my head, which, us, the viewing audience, will say like, okay, this is probably something to do with that clone chip in his head. Right. And we hear him as he's getting knocked out. He starts saying the good soldiers follow orders line. And that's something that I'm like, oh no.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah. Yeah. As he was passing out up there on the catwalk, you can hear him faintly, good soldiers follow. And he's passing out. I'm like, oh no. The muscle.
Because he bumps his head. When he swings to that catwalk, he gets knocked out is because he bumps his head, right? Or no, he gets shot then too, but he bashes his head first. And when he did that, I was like, well, nothing could take down Wrecker. He's this giant Hulk. And I'm like, well, that was shocking. That knocked him silly, and then he got shot, and then he passed out. Like,
yeah.
Oh, I didn't catch
he's already
that.
Struggling with this thing in his head that's hurting him. And so the combination of all that. So, I mean, what are we looking at here? We're looking at the muscle of the group, essentially, that's going to be under effectively Imperial control to a degree.
Yeah.
And, we've already lost Crosshair. Are we looking at a season where we lose Wrecker and then maybe one by one we see it come down to, was it going to have to be Omega that just saves everybody? I don't know.
Well, here's the question, and I'm trying to think of how they've ended previous Clone Wars. Do they always end Clone Wars seasons on a cliffhanger?
The seasons themselves, I can't remember. I think sometimes they do. I want to say from
like
most
a couple
part,
times there's been a cliffhanger, right? Where, so, I mean, how many episodes are left of the Bad Batch?
For this season, so we're on episode 6, and I believe there were 16 episodes, so technically I believe there's 10 episodes left.
Okay, so we could still have an arc where he goes bad, and then they get him and Crosshair back by the end of the season.
Right.
Because I wonder how long they would string out that, that Wrecker is going to go Order 66.
Right, exactly.
And if Wrecker goes Order 66, then he takes everybody out. Like, that really does, decimate the group. And give Tarkin another in to destroy them. Tarkin will figure that out.
What I'm curious about, and what I think is actually funny, is if you actually think about this from a behind-the-scenes standpoint, you're trying to take out 2 of five? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 members of the Bad Batch. You're trying to take out 2 of them. Is this an attempt to essentially save D. Bradley Baker a little bit of breath as he's trying to do the voices for all of them?
That's an inside. Give him a summer vacation, huh?
Pretty much. Today you only had to do the voices for 3 of them. Don't worry about it.
Well, I think it's. I think it's an attempt to, because they very slowly add these little plot details. So each of the episodes are very simple, bite-sized, but something happens, or a couple things happen in each one that are just these little tiny things that are obviously going to add up. We got 10 more episodes. This is all going to add up.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're probably going to lose Wrecker. Wrecker's probably going to take a few of them out with it. He's going to become a tool of Tarkin, and basically Tarkin's crew, which we haven't seen in a few episodes. They haven't been hunted down in a few episodes, so we know. We're just waiting until Crosshair and his team enter the fray once again, and maybe acquire Wrecker in the course of it. And really decimate, because the Bad Batch is the group is really going to have to be decimated and come back from that to have a full proper arc to the season. So at some point they're really going to get taken down. I don't know if it's going to be, I mean, it might be simple missions for the rest of these episodes, but in the course of it, these huge things are going to happen each episode.
Yeah, what does the group do when their weapons guy and their strength guy are taken away from them? How do they survive?
Right.
And that's where I think like you also see a lot of Omega coming into play with her intuition and stuff that we've already seen her kind of having, maybe again force related. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
But I think that definitely you're going to see a little bit of that come into play there as well. But
I love that she's mastering her own unique weapon. She got the bow and arrow, or the laser bow, which is just so classic Star Wars. A laser sword, a laser bow. Even Chewbacca's bowcaster doesn't look like a laser bow. It just fires bolts. It might as well not have a crossbow on the top of it. But this is an actual laser bow. This is like, in all the Star Wars things we've seen, we've only seen laser swords and laser guns. We've never seen a laser bow. It took this long. It was such a perfectly Star Wars thing. It's really cool.
It makes you wonder what they're going to do next. But what I like here is that, again, we're seeing like Omega is a clone. She's got the clone ability to pick something up. We see her obviously in the beginning of the episode trying to learn how to wield a little bit. But at some point she gets in her head, okay, I know you're supposed to just focus. You're supposed to quiet your mind and just focus. And then she starts wielding that thing like she's been doing it for years now.
Right. Because the key words, calm your mind and focus, which are the words of Jedi.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. They think they're going to sneak that one by us. They're not. They're not sneaking that by us. We're too smart for them.
I don't know if they think they're going to sneak that one by us. I think they know what they're doing there, and that we know what they're doing. I see what you did there.
It's expert work and setup is what it is.
So they do. So there's a battle for this intel that's inside this thing's head. Tech downloads it into this control rod, and then at the end of the episode, as a good piece of good faith, he gives it to the crew, Rafa and Trace.
Yeah, the Martez sisters. Yeah,
Martez.
What I like about this is, in order to get to that point, first of all, I love situations where you see people who are up against each other have to learn how to work together to get out of a situation. I think that's always a fun storytelling technique, is to pit antagonists who are against each other, put them in a situation where they have to do that. They have to work together. What I liked about this, though, is the way out of the situation is they had to essentially wake up all the battle droids, and so we get right. Clones and battle droids working side by side effectively. And I think they've only done that like once before in the Clone Wars. I think they were able to like capture some battle droids and rewire them so that they can sneak in somewhere and whatnot. I can't remember the exact storyline there. I think it was actually probably when they were going to save Tarkin. I think that's when we lost Echo to begin with. But either way, I think it's just a fantastic throwback to like the Clone Wars style, where we get to see the battle droids come back to life again. I think it's a ton of fun.
Well, and also as an A-Team fan, growing up as a kid, the idea in the Bad Batch has got an A-Team element to it that, like, no matter how down they are, they're gonna find a way. And I love that the solution for getting out of this huge predicament they're in. I mean, they're going up against 50 police droids. And then they're, also at that point scrapping with the other two who are trying to get the intel that they're trying to get. So there's all this, like, they're deep buried under in a very, very dangerous and hot place. That the answer on how to fix this was staring right at them the entire time. They have all these battle droids. So it's just really cool, like the solution of like, how are they going to get out of this? And it's staring right at you. And when they make that decision, they're like, oh, of course. And then boom, here come, again, all the old classic Clone Wars. Here come the battle droids, and now we've got I do like one of the battle droids wakes up and goes, "What happened? Did we win?"
Yeah,
the first words.
I love they had that. Like, well, orders are orders.
Orders are orders. Yeah. Why?
just bringing back that old battle droid voice. It's so annoying, but it's so much fun.
Right. Yeah, they'll have to pull a K2SO on one of those and get one of those as an episode reprogrammed to be a friendly,
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we see the origins of K2SO at some point. I don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're in that time frame.
but yeah, so we're our day is saved. We're shipping off. We are splitting off from the Martez sisters, and we're essentially we're wrapping up the episode here. And uh, once again, correct me if I'm not jumping over anything here, but believe we what we have now is once again a situation where we have this kind of the same kind of cliffhanger that we've been left with before, with Finnick talking to somebody. Who's Finnick's employer? Oh, who are Rafa and Trace talking to? Who are who's on that hologram we can't see?
Yeah, this is the second episode that's ended with somebody talking to a hologram of somebody we can't see, setting up something for the future. In this one, they say, by the way, there's a friendly clone troops, friendly bunch of clones that we just met, in case that's of interest to you. Now, I don't know how that connects with, I don't know if this person they're talking to is the same that Fennec was talking to.
Right.
We don't know. Because the information is different. They're saying, if you need some friendly clones, we got them. I don't know if that's what Fennec was conveying. But anyway, two mysterious holograms, or maybe the same mysterious hologram. I guess we're led to believe it's the same mysterious hologram, right?
I don't know, because I mean, if my thing on this is that if the show keeps ending with the same exact cliffhanger every episode, and be like, okay, what else can we do? What else can we do here? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, storyline wise, it might be the same. I mean, like, we really don't know if Finnick is actually working with someone who's dead set on killing anybody, killing Omega or what have you. Maybe somebody in the very newly forming rebellion has intel from the cloners that Omega has some force sensitivity, and they're really just trying to find any way they can to get her without the Empire knowing. Best way to do that's maybe a bounty hunter. Yeah. Same situation as you have Trace and Rafa, who are telling whoever that is, like, hey,
yeah, so Fennec passes the information to someone of like, hey, there's a kind of force sensitive kind of little special clone here. And then what would you call them, Martez?
Yeah, the Martez sisters. Yeah,
Martez sisters are saying, hey, if you need a friendly bunch of clones, we know where you can find some. That seems like they're talking to different people.
Yeah, so. and that very well could be too. I mean, we could have like warring sides here that we're setting up, that kind of using the same kind of cliffhanger to set up, but we're doing that like in that poetry kind of thing where it rhymes, that kind of thing, where you have the bad side and the good side, and that could be a lot of fun. But that's what I love about this right now, is we've got some mystery. We're nearly about halfway through the season or so, and it's like there's still some mystery. What's going on? What's happening?
They're constantly setting up threads that they're going to drop as the season goes on. I mean, we've seen what these shows do with The Mandalorian, which many of those, in our heads right now, we can think of all the biggest, thickest ones. But a lot of them were just like, let's fight some Jawas for 20 minutes and then call it a day. And you're like, oh, that was still a pretty good episode. But then something from that episode turned out to be way big down. I mean, this is Filoni's. This is the Filoni's MO in a way. Yeah. And you know what? If you stacked all these things back to back and put them into one big movie, it probably ends up being George Lucas's MO also. That George wanted, a cliffhanger every 20 minutes or less even, So it's like, well, that's kind of an episode length, You could probably make these so that they're, oh, what's this? I don't know. Moving to the, you could see in the movie version of this, as soon as they're done talking to that hologram, a wipe goes by and you're on another planet, and then you pick something up, and we'll get back to that plot line, in a moment. So
that's exactly what I was thinking with the wipes. Yeah, if you segment out in the Star Wars movies, each time there's a wipe, that's your 20-minute TV show episode right there. Pretty
much, right? The other thing I'll mention is we got an R7 unit. The Martez sisters have an R7, and when they said R7, I got all excited. I just would like when there's new droids, and that R7 could show up again and be the droid of this series. And also they were flying what looked like a gigantic A-wing, and I'm a fan of A-wings. I like A-wings. So I thought that was pretty interesting too. When they finally take off of Corellia, I was like, wow, it's this kind of gigantic looking A-wing. It's like an A-wing almost the size of like the Ghost or something,
I'm trying to remember because I watched this episode last night, and I'm trying to remember how the ship looked. Is the A-wing, was that like Luke's old ship, the Skyhopper? Is that the same kind of ship,
No,
or
no, that's
am I thinking something different?
Skyhopper. What was that?
T-17?
T-17 Skyhopper. I think it is.
I think so.
No, this is the A-wing is the one that didn't show up till Return of the Jedi, and it's the one that flies into the Star Destroyer and blows up the tower and sends the whole thing into the Death Star 2.
Oh, okay.
So it's a little ship shaped like a triangle, basically.
Okay, gotcha.
The
Yeah.
A-wings. The Green Squadron. Arvel Crenid was the pilot that flew into the.
There's that whole other language again that some people just
right. Yeah.
don't know. Yeah.
I love knowing names like that. In the end, we all choose sides. That's a line I have written down that I believe the Martez sisters say to the clones. In the end, we all choose sides.
That's such a great line, because I think that that line reflects so much about what Star Wars has been and where it's going in its entire series, in both TV shows and in the movies. It was just a fun line, because again, you remember that these stories are traditional good versus evil stories. You know, you get your light side and your dark side. So
yeah,
it's always fun to kind of hear that. Oh, everyone chooses a side. Some people choose it for different reasons. Yeah.
And in Star Wars, it's very obvious who's good, who's bad. In The Phantom Menace, it's very obvious who's good, who's bad. And what's fun is we're in an area now where it's like, oh, these guys, the clones, are momentarily confused as to who's good, who's bad. They never had to choose that before, and now they're constantly having to choose. And so now here's these people that are fighting for their own, and like, here's a rebellion thing, and we're fighting for this other thing, which is completely foreign to the clones. They're just like, we're just trying to survive today, and we had to go get this thing. So anyway, here's your intel. I don't know, does that help your mission? Yeah, because it's a fight between light and darkness. Omega will tell you, well, not now, but later in the season, Omega will tell you that there's a light and a darkness, and that's how you're going to make your choice, Bad Batch. That's how you're going to find your way in this thing. You're not going to be so confused at the end of this episode. You're going to realize who's good, who's bad, whose side you're on, and that there are Jedi.
Yeah, I'm just waiting to hear that. May the Force be with you in her accent. So
yeah, we haven't heard anybody say that yet. No Jedis yet in these episodes. But it's gonna happen. Not fully Star Wars unless some Jedi show up and so.
It's true. They always tend to get back there in some capacity. I mean, even you look at Solo. They even brought in Darth Maul at the end. You get a lightsaber. They always end up back there.
Yeah, no, it's a part of the whole. You could tell a Star Wars story. What's amazing about the depth of Star Wars is you could tell a Star Wars story without Jedi. You know, The Mandalorian shows that, but you know, to have a fully rounded story, you got to get some Jedi in there. That's the full Star War.
And that goes back to like the Force. It binds us. It brings us together. It moves through us. It's the Force is always that thing that just binds Star Wars together. It moves through it. You can't do Star Wars without something about the Force coming up at some point.
Yeah, and you can do all the machinations you want, Palpatine, Tarkin, whatever, but Force is going to kick your ass, man. You're throwing the whole thing out of balance, and the Force is going to. It doesn't matter if it takes generations, hundreds of years, millennia. The Force is going to get back to you on that. There is going to be balance to the Force. You know, they make the prophecy that this person's balanced, that person's balanced. Maybe it's Luke, maybe it's Anakin, whatever. Doesn't matter. There will be balance to the Force, and you're not long for this world while the Force is still alive, Tarkin. You know.
Exactly. Well,
by the way, I do have written down here. This is a cool shout out at the very beginning of this when they're talking to Tiny Bosk. There's a couple other characters there that are from the Star Wars universe. One of which is a Walrus Man, which were renamed. They were Walrus Men when I was a kid. And the cool thing about the Walrus Man in this one is it was an OG Walrus Man. The Walrus Man you see in Episode 4 is just, you know, in the background, and it's basically just a head. They didn't even design the rest of the body. But when they made an action figure out of it, they had to give it a dress, and they had to invent feet for it. It didn't have feet. There was no reason to have feet for it.
I had one of those figures too.
Yeah. Well, that was the amazing thing is like, so the Walrus Man, OG Walrus Man, is brown with a blue tunic. Just a tunic that just goes down to his crotch, and the rest is just all these weird legs with like 4 stumps. at the beginning of this episode was like an OG Walrus Man. It was an action figure Walrus Man. I was like, oh my God, it's the blue tunic. I mean, that's Dave Filoni at work.
Was it him and the pirate?
Yeah, who was? Oh, it's like
the Weequay.
A Weequay, yeah. It was a Weequay, a Walrus Man, and a Little Bosk.
Oh, I mean, not to. I know we need to wrap up here, but like, I just had a thought. Like, I would love to see. What's his name? The Weequay guy. I would love to see him pop back up in this.
Hondo?
Hondo Onaka. Yeah, that's it.
Hondo Onaka, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's at the in the theme park, right? They have like an animatronic of him at the theme park too, which is kind of cool. Yeah. His is a character that's just he's questionable. Like, which side is he on? But he's always just a ton of fun to watch. And
Hondo might be the most character out of the Clone Wars that wasn't already in one of the movies. Obviously, lots of characters came from the movies, but as an original creation, like, he felt the most at home. Of like, wow, this almost feels like when they had the Boba Fett episodes in the Clone Wars. You know, it had some of the feel of the old school. You know, but Hondo, I'm like, this really feels like a character that could have been there with the lineup on the Death Star, IG-88 and the rest of them. And it's like, let's give him his own story. But speaking of which, where's 4-LOM's story, 4-LOM? Where's Zuckuss' story? I mean, there is so much Star Wars left to get to. Has Zuckuss had a story yet? I don't think he has.
I don't know,
where's
but
Dengar's story?
For literally all of those, I would say let's hold on and see what they do with the Book of Boba Fett, because I think,
God, give me some Bosk and Dengar, and they're going to be in it.
Because I mean, there's storylines where Dengar worked with Boba Fett when Boba Fett was younger too. I mean, those storylines are out there. Bosk as well. Mm-hmm. So I would love to see them kind of come back and have those bigger character moments in live action again. So that'd be really cool.
I want to see a whole show that centers around Zuckuss, 4-LOM, IG-88, Dengar, Boba Fett, and Bosk. I mean, it's got to happen.
We're at the point where we can do spinoffs of spinoffs. I mean, do it. Go for it.
I mean, we get everything we want anyway, right? Yeah. I mean, I've watched Boba Fett return in a TV show about Boba Fett's. I mean, we get whatever we want. There was a Solo movie. We get what we want. So it's going to happen someday.
I mean, yeah, right. Do we not think there's going to be?
Will I be directing one of the episodes?
Exactly. I mean, do we not think there's going to be a Solo 2 or a Solo TV series or something?
There will absolutely be both of those or one of those.
Obviously, they'll do something. They'll tell that story in some capacity. So
we get everything we want. I mean, at one point, like, they were like, "Oh, Kenobi delayed. Is Kenobi over?" And it's like, no, we get everything we want. There will absolutely be a Kenobi TV show, and it will absolutely have the return of Owen and Beru and all that stuff. And here it comes.
Especially like, are you kidding me? Like, Ewan McGregor has aged.
Inevitable.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor has aged since the prequels, so he's now like going to find himself in the fitting place between.
He's older than Alec Guinness was in Jedi, I think. He's older than Alec Guinness was in any of those movies.
Is he really now?
Has
it been that much time?
That's crazy. Look how life aged people so much more than it does now. No. It's insane.
To be fair, especially over this last year. But
yeah.
Either way, that's your breakdown, guys, for episode 6, Decommissioned.
How'd we do?
Yeah, let us know if you have any questions, anything. Let us know in the chat. Otherwise, let us know in the comments on the replay of this video. I'd love to go back and see if there's any cool comments to highlight next go around. Well, there you go. There's a super chat. Edgar Samuel. Thoughts on Wrecker being affected by a ship? Yeah. So we said that a little bit earlier. That's going to be an interesting storyline to see happen. Is what happens when the brute strength of the crew has to essentially be taken from the crew.
And just to recap, too, I didn't catch that Wrecker said, "Good soldiers follow orders," which is, remember, a couple episodes ago, I said that's a line that Nazis said in the Nuremberg trial. Talk about bringing Star Wars back to its roots. But yeah, he bumps his head before he says that. And so, things are going to get way worse for the Bad Batch before they get better. They're going to get dragged down further and further and further. So the idea that they're going to lose Wrecker, that now they're going to be going up against Wrecker and Crosshair. And we haven't seen Crosshair in a while. And actually, I find it quite suspenseful we haven't seen Crosshair in a while. I'm like, he could be lurking around any corner. He could be 100 yards away and shoot someone at any moment. It's scary that I don't know where Crosshair is.
It's true.
So we're going to get Crosshair and Wrecker against the group. That's going to tear that group apart. And like I said in this episode, the group, like the A-Team, always finds a way. So if you can imagine bigger odds than losing Wrecker and Crosshair to being their villains, now leading this troop, now it's the Bad Batch, a decimated Bad Batch with Omega's not much help yet. She's going to be more help, but also that could be the great moment too. Like Omega's going to have to come into her own at some point, and when this group loses Wrecker, and when Tarkin realizes he can turn Wrecker against the group, and then destroy them by adding Wrecker to his elite force, and they will be decimated. They will be torn down. But the question is, how do they get out of it? Because they always find a way, because they are the best of the best. But Omega's going to have to rise to the challenge, and she's going to have to become a leader in the group. I mean, she's going to grow up over the course of this season and next. And she's probably advanced aging as well because she was cloned, so she's probably going to grow up by about 5 years every year or something.
That's going to be interesting as the show progresses. What does Omega look like next season, and what is she able to accomplish? What does she do? Man, there's people at the beginning of the season were like, I don't know about this Omega character. And like the first episode, I saw some of the talk online about that, and I'm like, wait, hold on a minute though. This is going to be a pretty BA character down the line. I mean, she's going to be a fun character to watch.
If this goes 3 seasons, she's a Luke Skywalker by season 3. She's going to be huge. But the big question is, how quickly do we lose Wrecker? How quickly does he join? Does Tarkin realize the asset that he has, and probably then go, oh well, then I wonder if I could turn Hunter against the group. Oh, okay, so there's a way to. So all of the chips aren't faulty, and what if at that point you get down to who's Tech? Does he have a chip in his head? His chip's been removed, right?
I think it was Echo whose chip got malfunctioned because Echo was the one who got all the work done to him, essentially.
So you theoretically could get this group down to Omega and Echo against the rest of the Bad Batch if they all get turned.
Yeah, because we're gonna have to assume that Omega doesn't have any chip in her head, like they produced her essentially after in secret and after the fact. So
right, they were very protective of their technological advancement.
I hope she doesn't have a chip, actually. But
yeah.
Anyway, that's gonna be the wrap up.
She's gonna go all Jedi and figure out how to fry those chips with her Jedi powers and snap them out of it, and then suddenly they're gonna turn and they're gonna go execute Order 99, and we're all gonna go and they're all gonna turn on the Empire, and it's gonna be a huge season finale in season 4.
Oh, it could be a lot of fun. It could really be a lot of fun. Yeah, season 4. A little ways down the road still, but so much to do still. So much to do in this show, but
so much road left in this season. It's going to be interesting,
for sure. And
just like the Mandalorian, at any moment, one of these episodes cannot be fluff. I call it fluff. That's as I've stated earlier. It's fluff in that very little plot happens. It's not fluff in that how much Star Wars happens. A lot of Star Wars happens every episode, even if the plot is like, oh, go over and get this thing. Oh, that was hard. That could, But at any moment, just like The Mandalorian, they could whip a real thick episode on us by surprise. So I'm waiting each week. It's like, ooh, is this going to be just a fun ripping yarn? Or is this going to be like, uh-oh, slam the door down? So,
And I think as we're reaching halfway through the season, I think you're going to get one of those episodes pretty dang soon. If not next episode, maybe the episode after. So.
And I seem to remember in The Mandalorian, I'll have to go back and watch the first season too, it felt exactly the same way. First episode was a lot of table setting. Second episode was fun adventure. Third episode was fun adventure. Fourth episode was fun adventure. And then fifth episode was just like, whoa, deep, real deep mythology happening too. So I have a feeling we're due for the it's Dave Filoni, so it's gonna happen. It's gonna get thick real quick.
Exactly. And to hear the recap of all that thickness, guys, that's a way to transition.
To hear all that thickness.
To hear all that thickness, we're doing these breakdowns every week, so feel free to come back again and again. I believe we're going to be doing these probably on Saturday still. We're doing it this week just because I have an engagement I have to do tomorrow, so we weren't able to do it on Saturday this week. But, guys, definitely come back. Me and Adam are sitting here breaking these down for you.
We're studying these like the Zapruder tape.
It's so much fun. And then some people who might want to compete in Star Wars within, say, like maybe the First Class League might need to know stuff from TV shows. Anyway.
This is true. You're training me up because that's going to end up in the regular Schmodown at some point. It's inevitable.
But
I am
Adam,
inevitable.
Wait, that's the wrong property. What are you talking about?
That is the wrong property.
Adam, you're doing stuff. Where can the people find you do the stuff?
Well, if I would quit doing so much stuff, I would finish the latest episode of Ford Fiesta, which is now a week overdue, but nobody's complaining. But the next episode is Ken Knapsack is on the Ford Fiesta because Harrison Ford has finally reached Star Wars.
Ooh, that's going to be a good one.
We've gone through a lot of Harrison Ford on the Ford Fiesta. So if you go to your favorite podcast app and look up the Movie Guys or the Ford Fiesta, you can hear the latest invention from Paul Preston and myself, or go to themovieguys.net or follow us on Twitter as well. We're also very funny on there.
Awesome. Yeah, guys, go check that out. Getting into Star Wars on the Ford Fiesta, that's going to be a ton of fun as well. That's going to be...
And we have a lot of Harrison Ford movies to get to that are Star Wars as well. We're headed into the real Harrison Ford now. We spent about 7 episodes watching him become Han Solo. You watched
the prequels to Harrison Ford, and now
we watched all the Harrison Ford prequels. We watched Dead Heat on a Merry-Go-Round. We watched Getting Straight. We watched The Conversation. Yeah, those are the Harrison Ford prequels. But he finally becomes the real property as of Star Wars. Hell of an entrance in that movie.
Exactly. Well, guys, also, Cinefanatics, that is the channel you are watching. We do stuff all the time on this channel. Our big flagship show is Tuesday nights at 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 Eastern. They call that the tagline. So we talk about all the latest news and movie news and stuff. So you definitely want to come back. That's got some thickness in it, too. You definitely want to come back for that because me and my brother break down that thickness every week for you. It's going to be a thing, isn't it?
Well, I try and make everything a thing. I'm all about the bits.
I do know today is the 4th. We are looking at, next Wednesday, guys. Next Wednesday starts our breakdown of the Loki series. So if you are into all those Marvel properties and the MCU and the shows that they're doing, this same kind of thing we're doing here, we're going to be doing for Loki over there. And we do have a guest who's going to be joining us on those as well. So you're not going to want to miss those if you're going to be tuning into Loki. So it's going to be a ton of fun.
I can sum up every Marvel contrarian for you if you just need for the first, let's say 3 episodes into Loki. Okay, 3 episodes in, it's not really going anywhere. And then it's like blows the fucking roof off. Like Marvel critics just don't get it. Like, guys, just hold on one second. We're still in Act 1.
Exactly.
Doesn't really seem to be going anywhere. I don't know. I'm 20 minutes into Ant-Man. All right. Anyway.
I feel like that's the way it was definitely for like WandaVision and for Falcon and the Winter Soldier also. So yeah, it's just hold on, just patience.
Right. Especially WandaVision. Oh my God. Not really going anywhere. I get it. It's a parody of sitcoms. Hold on.
just hold the brake. Push the brakes there. Other places you can check us out, guys. We are doing all sorts of fun stuff. I think we might be looking at doing some changes. We'll be talking about that off camera, me and my brother, soon. But go head over to that
changes.
Patreon.
They're going full share. Every episode, Chris and his brother are going to change costumes 3 times during every show. Isn't that right? Is that what you're doing?
I like where your head's at. I think that's a good Patreon tier. I think that we could definitely include that somewhere. Like, hey, join the $10 tier. You can choose what costume we wear on the next episode. Yeah. It's good stuff. But yeah, jump on that Patreon, guys. All sorts of tiers over there. We got the Discord where you can join in and talk movies with us over there. We got watch-alongs. We're getting trivia nights. We're doing all sorts of stuff within the First Class League of the Movie Trivia Schmodown. So you're definitely going to want to jump on and help us study and help us prepare for some of those matches over there as well. All that is available for you on the Patreon. So much fun. But I don't know. You have anything else to add for this tonight?
I'm starting to get my spider sense is tingling. I have the feeling that a Gucci and Kaiser show is starting sometime later in the next hour or so. It's just a sense I get. That's all.
That's a. I don't know if I like that sense. This may or may not be a good
Molly
sense.
Damon's on it tonight.
She is.
Poor woman. I mean, I'll have to go into the chat just to support her because
sure. I feel like I've seen Molly Damon enough. I think she can handle herself with the two of those knuckleheads.
She can definitely handle those knuckleheads. No, she'll bring some class to that joint. That's for sure.
Exactly. Well, guys, that's going to wrap it up here. We want to thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out. And once again, I said, if you're watching this on the replay, leave a comment below. And if you leave us some information, something that we can grab onto, maybe we bring it up next week as, hey, this is an interesting point we missed. Let's highlight this real quick. That would be a ton of fun. Would love that interaction, guys. So leave a comment, hit that like button.
Yeah, don't forget to hit the like, because there's a lot of times you watch these videos and you go, oh yeah, that's a really good video, and I forgot to hit like. That's a freeloader move. No freeloaders. It's for this thickness.
Not for this thickness, guys. It's a free click of the mouse there, guys. Just hit that like button. Also, you know what else is a free click? Is the subscribe. You actually don't have to pay anything to subscribe to channels. If we're doing something you like here, hit that subscribe button. Come back later and check out all the rest of the stuff we're doing here.
And if you didn't like this episode, please see the YouTube bursar for a full refund.
Of $0.
Exactly. What did it cost you?
Nothing. Anyway, guys, again, we appreciate you. Thanks for coming here. Thanks for hanging out. Adam, thanks for joining me as always. Yeah, always a pleasure to have you and talk Star Wars with you.
Break these episodes down. Yeah, I love breaking Star Wars down, but I've never had a chance to do it so immediately. I'm like, oh, this is great. Like, I actually have fully digested each of these episodes now. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yep. Anyway, guys, we'll catch you hopefully next week on the next Bad Batch breakdown. We'll see y'all later.
Bad Batch. There is another.
There is another.